You smoke a bunch of hopium for 30 years, and maybe with that hopium, you'll have some money at the end.
So walk through what is the eQRP, and maybe let's start with the big problem right now. How are people locked in Wall Street? Walk through that. What is that? And then let's talk about the
Well, the big
solution.
picture problem is people are lied to, and they're lied to by a Wall Street system that tells them that here are your options. You have a retirement. Your option is to put money into a 401k or whatever retirement you have with your company or the government. And then ultimately it's going to be managed by somebody else. You smoke a bunch of hopium for 30 years, and maybe with that hopium, you'll have some money at the end. Meanwhile, Wall Street gets rich and you just get old. And so that's what we're being told. That's the myth. And the reality is there's a lot of options, including having the ability to control your own money. And it's not just your money. So as a real estate professional, the brokers that are listening right now, one of the greatest things you can do is empower and educate people with things they've never heard of and become a trusted advisor beyond just a sale. And what happens with trusted advisors, when you're giving value for things that people aren't expecting, they're not looking anywhere else. In fact, they want to do more with you, and then they're going to tell everybody about you. So I always, when people are saying, I don't have enough business or I'm not making enough money, I go create 10 times more value. How do you do that? You get people out of jail. That's a really valuable thing. People in jail don't want to be in jail. So if you're the one that says, here's how you get your 500,000 or your $1 million out of Wall Street, put it into real estate, two things happen. One, they're free. And two, they now have a lot more resources that they can invest. And it's a really fascinating way to leverage an idea into a whole hell of a lot more business.
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely. So let's dive right into that. So the average 401k, let's say someone is in their 60s, right? Or even in their 50s, and they're trying to retire by 60, and they have this 401k of 500,000, but there's certain restrictions they can't take out. They've now either left their company or semi-retired, so now their 401k is still sitting at their old company. How does eQRP solve
So
that?
there's a whole bunch of really interesting things that are out there. One of the coolest strategies, and I'll give you a very easy tactical one, where somebody's got, say, that $500,000 in their retirement account, and they say, okay, I want to use this. Well, if you say I want to actually retire, let's say you're 50 years old, you got $500,000. It doesn't really matter what the number is, but use that as the example. And you say, okay, if I could take this $500,000 and invest it in real estate, some type of real estate, and I could generate enough cash flow off of that to be financially free. Like that would do it for me. If that's the case, then you don't have to wait until you're 60 years old. And the way that you do that is you get access to that money, you roll it into an eQRP. It's a self-directed retirement account. Once it's there, so there's no tax or anything when that happens. Once it's there, you can convert it to Roth. When you convert it to Roth, at that point you have access to it. You can pull the whole thing out. No tax, no penalty, any age, doesn't matter. And you can invest it in real estate. Well, then you might be saying, well, if I convert it, I got to pay taxes. Well, maybe not, because the day that you go out there and you buy that real estate, if you are a spouse or a real estate professional, you get to use all that cost segregation as an offset, as an expense against that additional income from the conversion. So, big picture, what I just gave you is a formula at any age to pull all of your money out of your retirement account and retire free forever. And it's like nobody on Wall Street's ever going to give you that formula ever because it screws up their fee structure. So, there's a way for people to, you can do this with 300,000, 100,000, a million. It doesn't make any difference. There's just, if you have to package that, like you have your specialty and people have their specialty, you've got to get people and teams together that are talking about all the different ideas, packing them together and utilizing them as a conjoined effort versus one person and their one thing, because that's probably not going to get the whole thing done.
So well said. I'm going to try to unpack that too to make sure I grasped it, and our listeners are probably digesting as well. So this is the formula, right? Whatever the amount is, 500,000, million bucks, whatever, in an IRA, right, or a 401k. Is that fair, Damon, so far?
Yeah, pretty much anything out there, any
Okay,
type of retirement account.
pretty much kind of any retirement, and then we can move it into the eQRP, which is like a self-directed vehicle, right? And then you can convert it to a Roth, of which it would be taxable, except for if you went and bought real estate with that, let's say that said money, right? And let's say I use 500,000, and I pull all of it out. I pull all of it Roth. I pull all of it out, and I use that to go buy, let's say, a $1.5 million building, right? Say 33% down or so. And I could do what's called cost segregation. And if my spouse happens to be in real estate, and when you hear real estate professional, You might be thinking, oh, I got to be licensed. No, it could actually just mean that is basically what you're doing for the majority of your income. And it could be you or your spouse, depending how you structure that. You want to talk to your CPA and kind of go into that. But owning real estate and managing that and spending a certain amount of hours per year qualifies you as a real estate professional. A few other things too. But that being said, now I can basically wipe out that 500. Is that a fair summary, Damon? Meaning a zero tax event?
Yeah. Yeah. The conversion is where you add income, and the cost segregation is where you deduct income, and they can effectively wipe each other out because of this trifecta of our tax code and all the things that have happened the last 3 years. So you nailed it.